All praise to the Most High. Hope you all doing well. I'm talking about idleness real quick. This time of year, it's important that we overcome it, battle it. This time of year, our flesh may rise up, spirit may decline a little bit through idleness, becoming stagnant. Proverbs 26:13. The slothful man says, "There's a lion in the way. A lion is in the streets." Ponder on that for a minute. Proverbs 26:13. The slothful man says, "There's a lion in the way. A lion is in the streets." Think about that. It's cold outside. Yeah, right? It's cold outside. Or I may not have to go to work today. Idle time. Excuses. Becoming stagnant. Proverbs 24:30-31. I went by the field of the slothful, and by the vineyard of the man void of understanding, and lo, it was all grown over with thorns, and nettles had covered the face thereof, and the stone wall thereof was broken down. Outside and inside is, physically, mentally, and spiritually. This can relate to. Lo, it was all grown over with thorns, and nettles had covered the face thereof. Talking about a vineyard of the slothful man. And the stone wall thereof was broken down. This time of year, it may be cold, or we get more time off, and so we start getting stagnant. We come up with these reasons, these excuses to do what the flesh wants. It's cold outside, or I don't have to work today. This inside stuff, I can do it later, right? I've got plenty of time. All these different reasons, excuses we use to justify what's comfortable to us. And so through this, our vineyards, what happens to them? Weeds start to grow up, thorns and nettles creep in. You may start getting cracks in your stone wall, and some of the rock chips away. 1 Peter 5:8. Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, walketh about as a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour. People will say the devil makes work for idle hands, or idle hands is the devil's playground. I'm sure many of you guys have heard those sayings. But this is that same way. With idle time, we start getting more time, or we start becoming stagnant. What's going to happen? Our thoughts from the enemy, the adversary, however you want to relate to him. Thoughts from the adversary will creep in. We'll start justifying our fleshly desires rather than tending to our gardens, tending to our vineyards. And not just physical vineyard, but our spiritual garden, our spiritual vineyard, our mental health, even our physical health too. It's cold outside. We may not want to go step outside. We may not want to go exercise, but you can do that inside too. You can hit the floor. If you got stairs, go up and down them. Walk a few times. Do some push-ups, jumping jacks, whatever it is. And spiritually too, with this downtime, you start getting time off, or if it's cold outside, you can make good use of your time while you have it. Cultivate your spiritual vineyard. Clean the weeds, clean the thorns and nettles from it. Maybe till the soil a little bit. Get your spirit ignited again. Get in that word, meditate on the word. Set some time to pray to the Father. You might even do a fast. 1 Peter 5:8, be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, walketh about as a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour. So like I was saying with this idle time, the devil can creep in. He'll start putting thoughts in your head of, oh, it's, my bed is warm. I'll just lay here. I'll watch a few movies. Or the devil puts some thoughts in your head, gives you excuses not to do something, not to be productive. And so you're going to start to have your stone wall, like the foundation, start to crack. Stone wall thereof was broken down, as it said in Proverbs 24:31. Here's another one too. Ecclesiastes 10:18. By much slothfulness the building decayeth, and through idleness of hands the house droppeth through. It says, by much slothfulness the building decays, and through idleness of the hands the house drops through. By much slothfulness the building decays. Is this actually a building? It could be. But our spiritual building, our mental health, the building. I just got a connection here. Proverbs 24:31. How it said, and lo, it was all grown over with thorns, and the nettles had covered the face thereof, and the stone wall thereof was broken down. So this connection, I got a stone wall, kind of like in Ecclesiastes 10, through idleness of 10:18. Through idleness of the hands, the house drops through. So like that stone wall, think about the foundation on a house. What's it built on? Is it built on sand? It's going to get washed away. If it's built on rock, it's going to be solid. It's going to be sturdy. It's going to be able to withstand the elements. Make sure our stone wall of our spirit, the stone wall of our mental health, spiritual health, our physical health, make sure that wall is intact. Make sure that wall is built on solid foundation. Because through idleness of the hands, our house could crumble down. By much slothfulness, the building decays. We get too slothful, and we'll start to slack off, and we may notice our spiritual health, our spiritual growth starts to decline, or our mental health starts to our mental health gets discouraged, or we get these thoughts of, we start getting depressed of being having too much idle time. Our bodies and our minds, they need to stay active. You got to have your mind continuously, you got to have it stimulated, learning, growing, all those things. You got to stay productive, because it can make you depressed. It can discourage you. Productivity is a good way to avoid having our houses decay, having our houses drop through it, making sure we're productive, staying productive, finding things to keep our mind active, our spiritual health growing. This could keep our vineyards clean. This could keep our vineyards in an upkeep where there's no thorns and nettles, no weeds creeping in. Galatians 6 and 9. Let us not be weary in well doing, for in due season we shall reap if we faint not. So with this cold weather, our beds are comfortable, the house is warm, whatever it is, we may start to slack off and get stagnant. Our flesh rises up. We may want to play video games or do all these other things. But don't be weary in well doing. It's cold out, I get it. But you can use that time inside. Make good use of it. You can get in the Word, study, meditate. And in due season you'll reap for it. If you faint not. If you don't let that lion in the way, the lion in the street, if you don't let that discourage you or hold you back, in due season you can reap for doing well. Putting in that work, putting in that spiritual growth, reading, fasting, praying, all these things. Stay encouraged, make good use of your time. Tend to your garden, keep your vineyard up. Check the foundation on your spiritual health, your mental health. Bless y'all.